My name's Corin Pilling, and I'm here with Simon Taylor from St George's, Wemden, who's come to talk to me very kindly about his experience of engaging his church community in the topic of mental health during the pandemic. So, greetings, Simon. It's good to see you. Could you tell me a little bit more about what drew you to using the sanctuary material during the pandemic?
Yeah, sure, Corin, thanks. It was really, I think, spring last year, we were kind of aware that the whole issue of lockdown was having impacts, or was likely to have impacts on people's mental health. We weren't sure what they were going to be, but we knew they were going to be great. And so we started hunting around for material, and I cannot remember exactly how, but I came across your material and it was like a godsend, because here was stuff directly looking at faith and grief and COVID-19. And we wanted material that would help the congregation cope at a personal level, but also to have material that would help us all support those in the broader community.
And tell me more about when you started using that material, what some of the impact was.
I think overall the impact was that suddenly people were feeling they could use the words mental illness, mental health problems, because we were doing this together. And people were able to actually own their own emotions. I mean, some would perhaps just describe themselves as upset or discombobulated. But I think what the course did was kind of frame it nicely. And the way, for those watching, the course is just constructed in such a practical way, bit by bit, with 4 key contributors each time who are approaching things from a different perspective. And I think everything that was said was so apt. And one of the people we introduced it to later said, this is like a breath of fresh air, because we're not trying to pretend everything's okay. Because, you know, those early days of lockdown were crazy for us. They were so unknown, they were so quiet, they were so still. And then we used it, Corin, in a variety of ways. We did Zoom, just pure Zoom for small groups. We did a massive Zoom session one night, which I wouldn't recommend to anybody, but it was quite good fun, which was trying to do the whole course in one evening, which was absolutely crazy. We did, when lockdown allowed, or restrictions allowed, we had small groups meeting in gardens, and they met there. But probably the one that helped us the most as a congregation was meeting together by Zoom over a series of Sunday evenings, and together treating that material as a great resource, as I say, not only for our own help, but for helping others.
That's really wonderful to hear. And as we move out of lockdown, what are your hopes in terms of your journey together as a community on this area?
I think that mental health issues become embedded as part of who we are. So in terms of our ministry to the whole person, we're looking at body, mind and spirit. I know that's a very simplistic way of looking at how we tick as a human, but I think your material allows us to do that very constructively, because it allows us to name some of the griefs which aren't to do with death, but the sorts of losses we've experienced over the last year, the way we've had to readjust, you know, grandparents without their grandchildren, children without their grandparents, and just insane sorts of, but very necessary changes to our life. This, I think, has allowed us to think it through and to pray it through. And I'm sure we'll be using more of the material as we go into autumn.
Wonderful. Simon, thank you for the time, and we wish you every encouragement as you continue on as a community through lockdown.